Hello everyone, this is Darren Wickham and I'm actually a project manager here at Teleios Systems Limited. I wanted to share with you some tips and some possible ways that you could make use of the time that you have left using what we call Agile in a week. So of course it's not really Agile in a week. Agile is a method and a way of approaching software development that evolves over time. It requires constant improvement, looking at your processes, finding ways to tweak them, to improve efficiency and to improve output with the product and the code that you're writing. So becoming agile is just my attempt to give you guys some brief insight into how we operate and execute on products and solutions here at Teleios, but also just to encourage you guys and point out particular things that you might need to focus on, or can focus on for that matter, that would allow you to maximize the time that you have left. So what is Agile? Essentially, it's an approach to software development that promotes early delivery. It means that you want to get that product or that solution into the hands of a customer as soon as possible. The second thing we're looking at is iterative execution, where there's constant improvement. So you have a product and you're finding ways to improve based on customer feedback. The last one is simplicity. You're looking at the product and you want to ensure that that product has a feature set that is simple to use and allows the customer to maximize value. All this together, when packaged, is done with the aim of creating an MVP, a minimum viable product. So it's a product that you could present to a customer, to your stakeholder, that has the feature set that allows the customer to extract value, but it allows you, the developer or the solution builder, to have a platform for future improvements. So with that in mind, what are some of the principles behind Agile, behind this Agile movement that people often speak about? Yes, there are 12 principles, but I decided to pull out a few based on the time that you have now and the context that Teleios Code Jam is set in. So one of the first things, and I mentioned it briefly before, was ensuring customer satisfaction through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. For you, participants in Teleios Code Jam, you want to be able to satisfy the customer by early delivery. That's not really applicable because you simply have a week, but it's my hope, and I'm sure it's the hope of Teleios itself, that once you go about and you craft the solution and you're able to pitch it to an audience on the day, that you find a means to go ahead and improve beyond Teleios Code Jam, find ways to innovate and to continue to expand the capabilities of the solution that you're creating. And that's what we mean by constant and continuous delivery. It doesn't stop at Teleios Code Jam. You need to find ways to continue to innovate, to improve what you believe is a very sound solution. The second thing we're looking at is delivering working software frequently. Of course, Teleios Code Jam is going to be that first instance where you're going to display, okay, this is my solution. But think about the next week. Think about the things that you could accomplish on a day-by-day basis from tomorrow, being Friday, until the actual event, which is next week. Think about the things that you can work on, and complete in a short space of time that adds value to the overall solution. The other thing that I wanted to mention is this shouldn't be a process solely for a developer or group of developers. The key value in Agile and in Agile execution is that partnership and collaboration between the developers, the analysts, the subject matter experts, or a customer if you have one. In your case, it will be a potential customer. Somebody who represents the customer who can say, okay, this particular thing is what I want to see, or this is the use case that your software together that you're supposed to address. And I'll also put a plug for face-to-face communication. Skype and video conferencing does fall into this category. But I'm promoting face-to-face because oftentimes, you might want to do things remotely. You might want to simply set up a call. But I encourage you guys to meet face-to-face if you can, to dialogue openly and just get a clear sense of what is being said, what is being communicated from one team member to the other. That face-to-face communication goes a long way in terms of ensuring that there's value in what is being communicated. Just a few more. So one of the things that we have adopted here at Teleios is, yes, there's this thing called documentation, but the true test of progress is working software. So you have a week. Perhaps you set some key deadlines. By Tuesday, you want to see this particular thing working. By Wednesday, you want to see this other part working. I dare say, Erwin may disagree, that working software, a working piece of code is more important than a presentation that you may have. Of course, it doesn't mean that you simply ignore presenting your information and having your PowerPoint or whatever means by which you're going to present ready. But understand that the true measure and the true value there is having something workable, something that you could illustrate and demonstrate to the judges on the day. And that is more valuable than those PowerPoints and the fancy slides that you're going to create to aid in demonstrating your solution. The next one would be continuous attention to technical excellence and good design. So that's a key thing. So yes, you have a deadline date. You have 1 week to go ahead and build out this thing. Remember I said earlier that it doesn't stop, or it doesn't need to stop at Teleios Code Jam. So to ensure that that is done, ensure that you structure your code in a particular way. Ensure that you're commenting your code, you make room and time for refactoring, so that once Teleios Code Jam is over, and a week later, perhaps a month later, given your schedules, you want to revisit this particular solution, you have a clear track, a clear idea of where you are, where you came from, and what you're going to do in the future. I mentioned it before, the last thing, simplicity. We want to be able to maximize the amount of work not done. If you do some research, you could see that this is a talking point in Agile. What you want to deliver is a piece of software that has value in the eyes of the customer. The fancy features, the new technologies, those bells and whistles that you may want to add that may enhance but doesn't add value, is the thing that we want to avoid. We really want to drive home that point of it's in the eyes of the customer. It's not about fancy technologies. It's not about new data structures that you've implemented. It's what the customer sees and is able to glean value from. So what are some things that you can do to be agile now? Time box your activities. Have set goals at the end of each day. Second thing, as I said before, would be working together. Ensure that all parties are part of this process, even if it's cases where you're simply being an onlooker. As a developer writes code, being able to consult as they do things, as they structure, as they work out the UI components and the elements of the solution. Prioritize value. Ensure that you maintain true value in the eyes of the customer. Prioritize what are the things that, as a customer, they want to see first, and spend your time this week thinking about those things and implementing those bits of functionality before anything else. The next thing would be set your own pace. What we want coming into this last leg of the journey before we present our solutions on that stage is you guys need to pace yourselves. Don't aim simply to get everything done in a weekend. You have the entire week. It might be stressful. I know for some of you, you may think you're cutting it close, but ensure that you spend time working things through at a pace that can allow you to finish on the day where you're refreshed, you're not stressed, and you're able to put your best foot forward when presenting. And the last thing, and I continue to mention, is simplicity. Keep it simple. Keep it focused on the customer. That is one of the major keys for success. So that's it from me. As I said, I'm Darren Wickham, project manager here at Teleios Systems.